Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, go ahead, shoot me a call, 219-413-9405, and we will play your take back on our next episode. Now look, man, free agency in the NFL is going on. It's a lot of craziness happening. I'm loving all the different deals that's going on. And I just got to say, before I even talk about any specific team, if your team is not making any moves in this free agency right now, and if they're bad, shame on them. Shame on them, bro, because you can't stay stagnant if you're already a bad team, bro. It's too much motion going on right now in the NFL for your team not to have anything going on and for them not to be making any sort of deals because, I'm looking at the Jaguars, I look at the Raiders, the Falcons, the Steelers, the Commanders. Even the Commanders, as bad as they are, they've even been making some moves right now. So, shame on your team if they're not making any moves at this deadline. Now, going back to a team that I'm really, really excited about. And I'm going to cover multiple deals that's happening for the whole entire free agency that's going on. But first and foremost, the Atlanta Falcons. They made a big deal that is huge. Probably picked up the best move of the free agency, honestly. I think it's one of the best. But a little backstory on this. So former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, he tore his ACL last year and he couldn't finish the season. However, after becoming a free agent, the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins came to an agreement. They signed him to a 4-year, $180 million deal with $100 million guaranteed. And some people was concerned because they're like, bro, whoa, slow down a little bit. Kirk Cousins is coming off an ACL injury. Why are we giving him this much money? And if you ask me, bro, Kirk Cousins is worth every single penny that the Atlanta Falcons threw at this man because it's the perfect fit. And I'm a firm believer that when you find someone who can help your team and they're the perfect fit for them, you can't play around. Don't play around of trying not to pay them as much. You got to make sure you secure that person that's going to help take your team to the next level. Kirk Cousins, he's going to take the Atlanta Falcons to the next level where they are right now. All of this young talent on the offensive end, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. These guys are all they need is a quarterback who can throw the ball 30 plus yards. They didn't have that over these past few years. Kyle Pitts, one of the best tight ends who was drafted in his class, one of the best young tight ends right now, didn't even get any love because he hasn't played with a quarterback who can get him the ball. We are yet to see what kind of skill this guy really has because he hasn't had that many targets. He hasn't had a quarterback who can put the ball to his chest when he needs it most and when he is wide open. The guy has moves. He moves like a wide receiver, but he's a tight end. Bijan Robinson, I don't know what the hell Atlanta Falcons was doing half the season when they had him sitting out. We weren't even giving him the ball at one point. So it was just a lot of madness going on. But you add someone like Kirk Cousins, who's actually elite, who has the experience behind him and can throw the ball over 30 yards very accurately. To me, that's damn good, bro. I think that's a damn good combination for the Atlanta Falcons right now. The only thing that somewhat concerns me about them is the fact that they don't really have an O-line. But here's where I find comfort in that. Because even though they don't have an O-line, I still look at this like, okay, well, Kirk Cousins, this guy's been in the league for a good amount of time now. Played with the Redskins, played with multiple teams in his career. Any of those teams that he played in did not have a great O-line. The Vikings, not really a great O-line. He was still taking some big hits. He was still didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball and get the ball off at times, but definitely didn't have that early on in his career. Probably the best offensive line that he's had was with the Vikings, and that wasn't a great offensive line. So it does comfort me a little bit is that a majority of his career, he's had to deal with not really having an offensive line, but yet he still made it work. And this guy has been aging like fine wine when it comes to throwing the ball at the quarterback position, because I mean, a lot of people, they talk about, oh, the ACL injury, but bro, hear me out, bro. I mean, the guy was on a tear before he got injured with the Vikings, was winning ball games off of comeback wins. He was leading the league in throwing passing yards in the beginning of the season before he got hurt. The man was doing a lot of damage. And the main thing that I heard here from a couple different people is like, oh, well, we paid him all of this money. Not only is he coming off an ACL injury, but this guy only has one playoff win. And that bothered me, because I'm like, okay, I understand that Kirk Cousins only has one playoff win and he's getting this huge bag for it. But the thing that throws me off is, you remember your quarterback, Matt Ryan, right? With the Atlanta Falcons, when he went on that playoff run in 2017. Prior to that playoff run in 2017, Matt Ryan only had one playoff win, but then he went all the way to the Super Bowl, took his Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl, had a damn good year. It's the difference in leadership that's going to bring out different things. So you shouldn't be judging Kirk Cousins about that one playoff win when a guy who had one playoff win took y'all to the Super Bowl. It can definitely happen when you have the right talent and you have the right guys around you helping you succeed. So, I mean, any other quarterback in the free agency pool that you would have wanted, nowhere near as good as Kirk Cousins. Justin Fields, nowhere near as good as Kirk Cousins. Russell Wilson, which we'll touch on later on with the Steelers in a second, he had a pretty good season, but I still don't put him on a level of Kirk Cousins from what I've seen Kirk Cousins do in these past few years. Nowhere near it. Nope. So to me, I'm saying the Atlanta Falcons, bro, definitely the favorites of the NFC South. They already changed the odds on DraftKings and everything, bro. I was talking with a friend of mine, bro, and we looked at the odds of predicting the NFC South champions. And prior to this trade happening, because we kind of was anticipating this trade happening down the line, but the odds were plus 100. So this is a huge boost. Like, you like, okay, bet I struck gold almost. And especially if you know this trade is going down, man, they locked the pick at plus 100. They locked it up. FanDuel, this is what I was checking. They locked it up and then they switched it to minus 105. And I'm like, bro, that's a crazy jump from a team possibly winning their division to now you're like, you know, they're going to win their division. So to me, I'm like, bet. I think the NFC South is locked up with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm happy it is the Atlanta Falcons. It's about time they're competitive again. And y'all be calling me bandwagon too. You know, I claim it, whatever. But this is one of the teams I cheer for, bro. I say I like a handful of teams, and this is one of those teams that I choose and that I cheer for. But they're not the only team to make some moves. The Jacksonville Jaguars actually got a lot better as well after this deadline, or after this free agency pool has opened up. They made me laugh because they picked up Mac Jones at first. And at first I'm like, okay, Mac Jones, what the hell, bro? The Patriots let him go and Jaguars picked him up. I'm like, bro, what the hell is the Jaguars doing picking up Mac Jones? This is a terrible pickup. Why are we doing this? And then I remember, I'm like, okay, I forgot. Mac Jones isn't going to be the starter. I don't know where I got lost in the sauce, but I'm like, okay, they got Trevor Lawrence still starting. So Mac Jones as a backup is actually a solid move for them. I think that's a great deal. And then not to mention only Mac Jones on the offensive end for your backup quarterback, but they picked up some elite talent on the defensive end in that secondary. Cornerback, Ronald Darby, elite safety, Darnell Savage coming in. And then also too, even though they might lose Calvin Ridley, they still compensated in picking up Gabe Davis and Devin Duvernay. So to me, I'm like, these guys are looking in good shape. They've been making a lot of moves. And so far, they're definitely one of the teams that you can consider as like making some winning moves at the deadline and being a solid team so far at the deadline. And to me, Jaguars indubitably are the best team in the AFC South right now. No competition whatsoever. Obviously, you know, you can't count out CJ Stroud in the Houston Texans, but they lost their running back so far. They lost a defensive lineman. They lost a safety. I think. Don't quote me on the safety, but they definitely lost the safety. I think definitely a running back and a defensive lineman for sure. And those two pieces are gonna hurt. So I mean, Texans, they gotta get with the program. So far, they've been one of those teams that I mentioned in the very beginning, where I'm like, if your team isn't making any moves right now at the deadline, then, that's a problem. And so far, I haven't seen Texans make that many moves. So hopefully they'll get it together. Another side note here, too, is the Las Vegas Raiders, bro. They've solidified their defensive presence to a maximum. On the defensive line, I should say, bro. So on top of the free agents list, the number one free agent so far, where a lot of people had a lot of speculation, wasn't Saquon Barkley, wasn't Russell Wilson. Those guys were top free agents, but the main thing that everybody was kind of paying attention to and they wanted to know where he was going was Christian Wilkins. And former Miami Dolphins defensive lineman Christian Wilkins signed a deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. He signed a 4-year, $84 million guaranteed deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. And man, this right here, having Wilkins and Max Crosby on the same defensive line is about to get nasty, bro. They're about to enforce the hell out of them Mahomes rules where they're shoving him after every play, touching him up after every play and everything. This is about to get brutal in terms of quarterbacks trying to provide and make something happen against this defensive line because, bro, these two guys coming off the edge, it's about to be insane. And the only thing that I think about with the Raiders, I love that they brought back the head coach, Adrian Pierce. I love that, they signed Wilkins. I love that they still have Crosby. So far, they're on the right track of doing everything right. The only thing that I'm concerned about, and I cannot help but to think about when I'm thinking of the Las Vegas Raiders, is I keep thinking that they're going to experience a situation similar to the New York Jets that they've been experiencing for the past few years. Meaning the Jets, they have amazing defense, got a great defensive line, got a great secondary presence and all of that, but they just can't get it to work on the offensive end. They don't have a quarterback there to really provide for that offense. And to me, I'm really concerned about that because although they picked up another quarterback, it was Gardner Minshew, I'm just not really sold on him right now. And it's not like an elite quarterback, something that's going to get me hype about the Las Vegas Raiders coming into this season. I'm more so hype about what they can do on the defensive end rather than what they're doing on the offensive end. Because even the running back, damn it, I can't. I'm drawing a blank right now. But even the running back, they lost him, so they don't have him right now with the Las Vegas Raiders. So to me, it's like it looks great on the defensive end, but maybe Minshew can make something happen on the offensive end as a quarterback. Personally, I think they should have went with Justin Fields. Justin Fields, to me, he's not bad. He's not like overbearing with talent, but he is a solidified quarterback in the NFL. He showed some flashes of being a good quarterback in the NFL. So I think I would be more comfortable with Justin Fields, but maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they didn't want to deal with the contract issues. They didn't want to have to worry about trying to pay Justin Fields the next year. Who knows? It's a bunch of different reasons that could have been the case, but I'm hoping under the leadership of Pierce, Minshew is like becoming a solid quarterback and actually can help the Raiders because they got a lot of good pieces going in their way. They got a lot of different things that's favored in them right now. And I don't think they're anywhere near, top dogs in their division because we know who's in their division in the Kansas City Chiefs and the rest of the dogs over there. But I think the Raiders are on the right track. And to me, the main thing I'm excited about with the Las Vegas Raiders is that defensive line and that defensive line presence, bro. I mean, it's amazing to see them bringing those two guys together. I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be dope. But look, man, I got some more stuff coming up in just a second. Obviously, Russell Wilson, he signed with the Steelers. Cannot wait to talk about that. Got that. The Chicago Bears, they're in a loophole right now. They don't know what they're doing, but they did make a few moves. But I got something I got to really brush on with the Chicago Bears. But I got some more news about free agency. I'm not going to list every single deal that happened, but I will run through a majority of the deals that are huge difference makers. And I'll probably stop in there too a little bit as I go through it. But mainly this news is all free agency that's going on. So if you haven't been updated, welcome to the run. We got some news for the run in just a second. It's halftime. We'll be right back. All All right, and news for the run. Let's get into it. NFL free agency is here. Let's brush up on all the different things that was covered today in the first day of free agency. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they re-signed their defensive tackle, Chris Jones, to try and go on this three-peat run. I'm excited for it. I think he was a key piece in terms of getting the Kansas City Chiefs on par to make this three-peat run. So that was a great job for them. Kirk Cousins, he officially signed a deal with the Atlanta Falcons. They paid him a huge bag of $180 million for 4 years. Now, Russell Wilson, he was recently released out into free agency, and he's going to be signing a deal to join the Pittsburg Steelers next season. So I'm excited about that. We got some more information on that in just a second. The former Giants running back Saquon Barkley, he recently joined the Philadelphia Eagles and signed a 3-year deal. The Chicago Bears and former Eagles running back DeAndre Swift has agreed to a 3-year deal for $24 million. However, it is rumored that the Bears will also try to sign wide receiver Calvin Ridley. This would be a huge pickup for them to land Calvin Ridley, especially in that receiver core. But I'm going to brush on that just a little bit later because I got a lot more information on the Chicago Bears. Now, the Green Bay Packers, they landed Pro Bowl running back Josh Jacobs, and he signed him to a 4-year deal. Now, the Cheeseheads, they also landed safety Xavier McKinney to a 4-year deal. Now, however, Packers fans was thrilled about this, but everything comes at a price to some extent. So the Packers, all the moves came with a price as they had to release their star running back, Aaron Jones, who is a great running back. He did his thing last season. I'm sure he's going to get picked up by somebody. But Josh Jacobs was the guy I was trying to think of with the Las Vegas Raiders. I could not help but to think of it. Josh Jacobs was the guy I was thinking about when I was talking about the Raiders losing their running back. However, let's keep going, man. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they made some moves. Former safety Darnell Savage and the Jacksonville Jaguars have came to an agreement on a 3-year deal. The Jaguars, they also agreed to a deal with former Bills wide receiver Gabe Davis. And Davis and the Jaguars, they agreed to a deal that's worth 3 years for it's worth $39 million for 3 years in that contract. So that's a huge plus for the Jacksonville Jaguars, keeping him around for some time. The Miami Dolphins tackle Christian Wilkins is headed to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Wilkins and the Raiders agreed to a 4-year deal worth $110 million that includes a $84 million guarantee. Huge deal for the Raiders. This is going to help out that defensive line and bring even more of a presence on that defensive line. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins request a trade to another team. Now, former Ravens safety Geno Stone, he signed a 2-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is just recent things that's going on at the deadline. There is nothing right now, any further moves for the Cincinnati Bengals that's been going on. But as far as the Bengals, these are the deals that they have. And those Detroit Lions are definitely making moves, which I am glad to see. The Lions, they signed defensive end Marcus Davenport to a 1-year deal. Nothing too expensive, just simple 1-year contract, bringing him in. And in addition, they traded for a lockdown cornerback, Carlton Davis. And the Lions, all they did was give up a 3rd-round pick, and they also got some draft picks back as well. 2 6th-round draft picks in 2024 and 2025. So this was a great deal. They also grabbed this lockdown corner. I'm loving this move for the Detroit Lions, bro. I think this is going to be fairly beneficial for them. And even though this team has already showed how great they were last season, I think it says a lot that they're still active in the trade market and they're active in the free agency market, still making all of these different deals, because it's easy for a team who had some sort of success last season to get complacent and just sit there and be like, all right, we're going to run it back with the same guys we have. We're going to try and keep everything the exact same way that it was. But I'm loving that the Lions are still out here being aggressive in the trade market, being aggressive in free agency, and making a lot of moves. So kudos to them, man. I think, hey, big things coming in that NFC North, bro. It's definitely heating up. Now, going over to the AFC, the Pittsburg Steelers, they picked up Russell Wilson in free agency, as I mentioned. And Steelers fans are juiced up about it, as they should be. But there's a lot of talk about Russell Wilson not being able to play anymore. And you know, the thing that drives me crazy about this is, check this out. So people say Russ can't play anymore. Russ is not the same guy. He's not a good quarterback. He's not as good as he was in Seattle, which is true to that part. But in terms of him still being a quarterback that's worth something in this league, oh, you're crazy if you think Russ has lost it all. I mean, he had one bad year in Denver under a terrible offensive coordinator and a terrible head coach. And then we seen him have some sort of success when Sean Payton came along. And for anybody who's saying, oh, well, Russ, even though he had an okay season last year, he's still not that guy. Okay, well, let me tell you this. Russell Wilson last year threw more touchdown passes than Lamar Jackson, than Matthew Stafford, than CJ Stroud, and Jalen Hurts. And he did all of this. He threw more touchdown passes in less games played than all of those guys. So to me, when I'm looking at all of this information, I'm looking at the full story of it about, oh, this narrative that Russell Wilson is going to have to fight for a position with the Steelers, and he's going to have to possibly prove himself again that he's still a good quarterback. I don't really buy into all of that, because from what I seen last year, Russ still looked like he was a pretty damn good quarterback. And him going to Pittsburgh is just a huge win. So anybody who's having doubts about Russell Wilson going to play for the Steelers, you need to take that out your mind right now. The Steelers practically got Russell Wilson for nothing. I think they're paying him $1.2 million on this deal because the Broncos were idiots and they released Russell Wilson, and now they still have to pay for him. They took that huge cap hit that I talked about last week, and they still have to pay for Russell Wilson. So yes, even though he has a huge contract, the Broncos are paying $38 million and the Pittsburgh Steelers are only paying $1 million. So this helps the Steelers financially. It brings a guy who's played in the NFL, has plenty of experience under his belt, wasn't the best quarterback in free agency because I think that was Kirk Cousins. But you take Kirk Cousins out the equation, who else do you got there? Justin Fields? Trying to trade up for a draft pick with a guy with no experience? Oh, wait, or maybe you're just going to keep your guy Mason Rudolph. Or maybe you're going to keep Kenny Pickett. Who else better to grab right now than Russell Wilson? So this is a huge win for this organization. And then you pair them with the offensive line, who's already been proven to be solid over there in Pittsburgh. And then you look at George Pickett, who's a great help on the receiving end, running back Najee Harris. I mean, bro, this team right here in Pittsburgh, they might cause some damage. I'm going to tell you that right now, bro. This team really might cause some damage, bro, because I'm loving what they're doing right now. You got a guy who's coming off a pretty damn good season, throwing 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. And like, even if he just repeats that same exact thing from last season, this is going to help the Steelers because the Steelers are already stacked in every other area. They're solid on defense. They're solid on the defensive line. They're solid on the O-line. They got a great receiving core. They got a great running back. Like every other area for the Pittsburgh Steelers is damn near solid. So if Russ comes in and he plays half of what he did last year in Denver, the Steelers are going to make the playoffs and get some type of playoff wins, especially under the leadership of Mike Tomlin, a guy who's had 17 straight seasons of a positive record. Like, bruh, this guy's played with a great quarterback. He's played with bad quarterbacks, and somehow he still manages to get a positive record year after year after year and give his team a fighting chance. So to me, bro, this is great for Russell Wilson. It's definitely looking like this team is going to be a playoff contender, and I think, man, the Steelers are going to crank it up. I think y'all boys better whip them terrible towels out. And I mean, hey, this is definitely something worth celebrating here. The only thing I'm hoping, and it's been an ongoing joke, I hope this doesn't happen. And I feel like this would happen to Russell Wilson just because he's been a meme over these past few years in the NFL. But because Mike Tomlin has this beautiful positive record streak of 17 straight seasons of having a positive record, it's been an ongoing joke that people have been saying Russell Wilson is about to ruin it. And I would just be, man, this would be terrible if Russell Wilson happened to be the guy. And the main reason I say it's funny because you got to remember, bro, Russell Wilson, this is Broncos, let's ride. This is, you got to remember how silly of the things he was doing over the past few seasons, bro. The silly things he was saying and doing high knees on the plane. Like, bro, Russ was kind of tripping over these past few years, especially when he went to Denver, bro. So it's just like the guy has been a meme over the past few years, and I'm hoping he really cleans it up. I'm hoping it's just no foolishness going on. Even though it's funny, it's entertaining, it can't be no foolishness because it's going to kill me if he ruined Mike Tomlin's record. And for the record, I hate the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers at all. I just like Mike Tomlin, him being a black coach and actually knowing what to do and knowing how to coach in the NFL. So it's not just because he's a black coach, but it's because he actually knows how to coach in the NFL. That's something that does make me like him, is like, he's a damn good coach, bro. You really can't hate on him, whether he was black or white. Like, the man has been doing great things since he's been in Pittsburgh. So I don't like Pittsburgh, but I definitely like him there and him coaching. So yeah, if he was in any other area, any other city, I'd probably be a fan. He'd probably be on one of my teams as well. Y'all know I got like 5 or 6 different teams. But look, man, the Bears, they are out here too. The Bears are trying to make some deals, man. And the Chicago Bears have been kind of making me upset, bro. And you know, let's get serious for a second. So we've seen what the Bears did in free agency. So they picked up former Eagles running back DeAndre Swift, which was a huge thing. They picked him up for 3 years, $24 million deal. And it's rumored that they're going to try and get Calvin Ridley next, which would be huge. I think this will be tremendous for the Bears to get Calvin Ridley. But what everybody wants to know is, are we keeping Justin Fields or are we trading this man? Because what the hell is going on? We keep talking about we want him gone. We want another pick. We want Caleb Williams. We're going to trade the number 1 pick for Caleb Williams. What the hell are the Bears going to do? And at this point, you know what? I'll keep it this way. The Bears have damaged themselves, and they talk about all this stuff of Justin Fields not having a good trade market. This is self-inflicted by the Chicago Bears. This was brought upon solely by the Chicago Bears organization because they waited so long to make a move with Justin Fields. Because damn it, if they would have came out right away and said, hey, we want to trade Justin Fields, there would have been multiple teams who needed a quarterback ringing at their door, knocking at their door. Hey, we need Justin Fields. Because now all the options are gone. Many of the options who wanted a quarterback and was planning on making a move in free agency are already gone. The Falcons was a big team who was in a conversation for Justin Fields. The Raiders were a big team trying to get Justin Fields. The Steelers were a big team trying to get Justin Fields. And now all you're left with is the Commanders, who have a number 2 pick. Why would they get Justin Fields when you can draft a quarterback at number 2 and take a decent quarterback for a way less pay? Like, to me, the Bears definitely self-inflicted this, and they brought it upon themselves. And at this point, bro, I'm done with it. Whether they get Caleb Williams or not, none of this shit is going to matter if they don't have an offensive line or solid defensive pieces. This is what I've been preaching for day one. I've been saying this ever since they even talked about trading Justin Fields and trading the number 1 pick or drafting Caleb Williams. None of that matters if they don't have a solid offensive line and a defensive presence there. Because you draft Caleb Williams, even if you land Calvin Ridley, it's not going to matter. How are you going to get the ball 30 yards down the field throwing when you don't have any pass protection to allow Caleb Williams time to throw the ball? Even if you're up 10 points, how are you going to win a ball game and get to the playoffs if your defense can't hold a lead and stop the team from scoring that you're going against? It's not going to be successful until these guys get some offensive line pieces and a defensive presence. It doesn't matter who's your quarterback. And I know quarterback play is like, oh, the big thing now. Everybody only cares about quarterback play in today's era of football, which is, it makes a lot of sense. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars at quarterback. They're the only position that's like really bringing in some big time M's. If you're a quarterback in the NFL, you're straight. You're sitting comfortable. But as far as the Bears, they're not in a desperate need for a quarterback right now. They're in a desperate need of an offensive line. They're in a desperate need for a defensive presence. Bring pieces to help what's needed, not what sounds good. Not what's going to make fans happy. Damn it, to hell with all the fans right now. You need to do something that's going to actually help you win games on the field, because the more you win games on the field, the more fans are going to be happy. That's the starting point. And right now, it don't matter. You get Calvin Ridley, which would be nice. It looks good on paper. It brings a lot of hype, but you ain't going to be able to get them guys open down the field because they're not going to have time for their route to even develop, because Caleb Williams or Justin Fields going to already be sacked by then. So yeah, it's insane to me. They've already bothered me enough, man. And the Bears at this point, bro, I've given up on y'all. Y'all had a chance, and you still have a chance, but the chances is becoming more and more slim to become an elite team in the NFC North. Because right now it's not looking the best. Y'all boys it's looking like y'all about to have another 10-7 type of season if they continue to play around with these trade moves and trading the number one pick and keeping the number one pick, because I don't know. It's not that many teams right now that absolutely need a quarterback like they once did prior to free agency. All these teams is getting comfortable and hey, people getting solidified now. So it's on the Bears. It's their mistake. And man, I don't know. They got to get it together. They got to get it together, bro. They about to have another 10-7 season. Absolutely. But look, man, that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you for kicking it with me. Appreciate you for hanging with me. I know it's a lot of information to cover. A lot of information for you to retain, but definitely if you've been kicking it with me this whole time, of course, I appreciate it, man. Shoot me a call, 219-413-9405. Let me know your thoughts on some of the free agency deals. Packers also had some solid free agency deals. I think I covered it in the news, but they picked, yeah, I did. Yep, I covered it. They picked up some solid moves. I'm excited to see what else goes on in free agency. So our next episode come Thursday will probably be about some more in-depth type stuff about free agency, but definitely excited about it, man. But anyway, look, share this with a cousin, a brother, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, anyone you know who enjoys sports, especially if I talked about their team. Definitely tap in, send this to him and say, hey, listen to the thoughts he had about your team, skip to such and such or whatever. Skip to the time, or just tell him to listen to it all the way through. Either way is cool. But man, other than that, that's all I got for you guys. I definitely appreciate you staying with me. Leave a voicemail call if you got a quick take. We'll play it back on our next episode. Of course, 219-413-9405. Other than that, we will be back later on this week, and so on and so on and so on.